In the hill village of Bashiru, there lived a woman whose name carried warmth like sunrise, Kanyira. She moved with the quiet grace of a gazelle, spoke with a softness that calmed even quarrels, and wore a smile that brightened the dusty footpaths of the village. Whenever she passed through the market square, traders paused mid-sentence. Children abandoned their games, and elders adjusted their wrappers respectfully. It was as if her presence demanded a moment of admiration. The women often whispered to their sons, "If your heart must choose a wife someday, choose one with a spirit like Kanyira's." She grew up in a humble household but carried herself like someone born from a line of queens. Her gifts were not in wealth or material things, but in kindness, patience, and a glowing purity that made people wonder what river spirit had blessed her at birth. So, when Dambo, the chief's firstborn son, boldly sought her hand in marriage, the village erupted in celebration. Dambo was tall, well-built and confident, a man whose voice carried authority even when he spoke softly. Marrying him was considered one of the highest honors any woman could receive. To everyone, their union seemed divinely arranged. Their wedding lasted 3 days and 3 nights. Drums thundered through the hills, flutes pierced the air with sweet melodies, and dancers moved until their feet blistered. Gifts poured in from neighboring villages, and elders proclaimed that this couple would bring prosperity to Bashiru. And for a time, that seemed true. Their first months of marriage glowed with laughter, shared dreams, and endless affection. Kanyira felt like she had stepped into the life she was always meant to live. But seasons change, and so do hearts. And as each moon passed without the sound of a baby's cry from their hut, a shadow began to grow, one that would stretch far beyond Kanyira's home, reaching even to the sacred waters of the Night River. The first year of marriage passed in joy, but by the second year, whispers began to float through Bashiru, like wind through dry grass. Villagers rarely spoke directly to Kanyira, for she remained admired, but they murmured among themselves. Still no child. Perhaps she needs stronger herbs. A wife without a child is like a river without fish. Dambo tried, at first, to remain gentle. He told her not to worry, that the ancestors would bless them in their own time, that every woman had her hour. But even gentle reassurances can become sharp when spoken one too many times. Every moon cycle, Kanyira prepared special herbs, visited the healer, prayed at the shrine, and performed the cleansing rituals the women taught her. She did everything she knew. She did everything they told her. Nothing changed. Soon, Dambo's frustration shifted into coldness. He stopped sharing stories from the village council with her. He no longer asked for her company on evening walks, and during meals, he spoke to her only when necessary. One night, after a particularly heated argument, Dambo muttered loud enough for her to hear, "What use is a wife who cannot give her husband a legacy?" Kanyira cried quietly until dawn. She noticed the subtle changes first. Dambo came home late more often, avoided her eyes, and spent more time in the men's hut. Tishana, a young village girl, began appearing frequently near their compound, always carrying something for Dambo's mother. Kanyira sensed something shifting beneath her feet. She felt as though she was standing on cracking ground, but could do nothing to stop it. Despite this growing darkness, she prayed. She fasted. She hoped. There was still a soft flame in her heart, a belief that one day she would hold a child of her own. But hope cannot stop destiny when destiny takes the form of a man's decision. And Dambo was about to make a decision that would tear Kanira's life apart. The truth arrived one dusty afternoon, carried on the footsteps of a young girl who walks beside Dambo like a shy shadow. Her name was Tishana, not more than 16 seasons old. Her cheeks were full, her steps gentle, and her eyes lowered like someone accustomed to obedience. But what struck Kanira first was the soft curve of her belly. Unmistakable, undeniable, impossible to ignore. Dambo did not greet Kanira. He did not soften his voice. He did not look regretful. He stood tall, shoulders squared, and declared, "A man must have heirs. She is carrying my child. She will stay." Those were the only words he offered before turning to show Tishana her new room. Kanira felt her heart collapse inside her chest, yet she stood unmoving. As the evening sun faded behind the hills, she allowed herself to break silently, away from watching eyes. Her pride kept her upright, but her spirit trembled like a cracked pot on fire. From that day onward, her life changed. Tishana's presence glowed brightly in the compound. Everyone adored her, the servants, the elders, even the children. Tishana birthed a healthy son, and celebrations filled the air for days. Over the next few years, she bore 2 more children, each welcomed with joy and gifts. Kanira, meanwhile, became invisible. She cooked alone, she fetched water alone, she slept alone, she mourned alone. Dambo no longer sought her company or her thoughts. He barely regarded her as part of the household. Tishana, though occasionally kind, could not hide her triumph. She had become the favored wife. Still, Kanira refused to abandon dignity. She woke early, worked tirelessly, and met every duty with quiet strength. But inside her, something wilted. Some nights, she placed a hand on her empty womb and whispered, "Why am I forgotten?" Her answer would not come from the gods, nor from her husband, nor from the village. It would come from the waters of the night river, waiting patiently for the dawn when Kanira's destiny would finally shift. Preparing the morning meal for a household of 20 was no small task. On Kanira's cooking days, she rose long before the first rooster crowed, often when the world was still drowning in darkness. 2:45 a.m. That was her hour. She wrapped a faded shawl around her shoulders, lifted her clay pot, and walked the familiar path to the night river. Unlike Tishana, who had cheerful children to fetch water and firewood for her, Kanira did every task alone. She refused to let anyone claim she was lazy. Her pride was the only one she still held tightly. But on one particular morning, something felt different. The sky was unusually quiet. The trees stood still, as if holding their breath. No frogs croaked, no insects hummed, not even the river whispered. A strange tension curled in the air, the kind that warns hunters when a predator is near or alerts a mother that something is wrong with her child. Kanira's heart quickened. Still, she made her way down the slope until her feet touched the cool sand at the river bank. The water, usually rippling and alive, lay flat like glass. She knelt and dipped her pot into the surface. Then she froze. A faint cry, soft, trembling, unfamiliar, drifted towards her. She lifted her head and scanned the darkness. Nothing. She leaned forward again. Another cry, slightly louder this time.
Her breath caught. It sounded like a baby, but there was no one there. The river bank lay empty, the surrounding forest unmoving.